Hey everybody, Mark Dawes here once again, and in this short video I want to talk to you about intramuscular injections, particularly rapid tranquilization, because the common sort of custom and practice up to this point is that patients have historically been placed in a prone face down position, their trousers pulled down, and they're injected in the upper right quadrant of their buttocks, and that's the sort of traditional way and the historical way, and it's still carried on today, that rapid tranquilization is actually administered. Now, this brings up a number of issues for discussion, and one of them is the fact of the risks of actually putting people in a prone restraint position. Now, there's arguments on both sides of the fence as to whether it's dangerous or not, and prone in itself is not lethal if it's managed properly, but it has been implicated in a number of deaths, and so we have sort of a House of Commons and House of Lords Joint Committee on Human Rights saying that if someone died in a prone position, it would be a violation of Article 2. And there's been lots of campaigns to stop its use because, putting someone face down on the floor, pulling their trousers down and injecting them in their backside is at best inhumane and degrading. It's humiliating. So, why does this practice carry on? Now, one of the reasons it carries on quite simply is what a colleague of mine, Pal Kesh, calls ritualized practice, and I'm pretty sure he's going to do a video on this himself in due course. But it is custom and practice, and we come across this time and time again on training courses where we've trained trainers on our BTEC Level 3 Restraint Instructors course because we give alternatives to this. And they go back and they say, no, nursing staff want the patient put on the floor in prone, and we need to inject in the upper right quadrant. And there's loads of excuses as to why. But I just want to give you a bit of background on this because you're probably all aware that back in 2014, the Department of Health produced guidance, Positive and Proactive Care, commonly known as Positive and Safe. And in that guidance it states this. It states that people must not be deliberately restrained in a way that impacts upon their airway, breathing or circulation. And there must be no planned or intentional restraint of a person in a prone face down position on any surface, not just the floor. So the current DOH guidance says you shouldn't do it. Now if you're training to actually take people to a prone position, then there's a planned intervention which goes against this guidance, and you've got to have what's called cogent reasons for not doing this. For breaking the guidance, you've got to have very good reasons for doing so, as Eric Baskins explains when he speaks in all our conferences. Now, the Mental Health Act Code of Practice, 1983, which was first published 2015, states this. It says, where rapid tranquilization in the form of an intramuscular injection is needed, the person prescribing the injection should state the preferred injection site, having taken full account of the need to avoid prone restraint, i.e. where the person is forcibly laid on their front. So again, we have another piece of legislation here, guidance, regulation if you like, saying you've got to look at alternatives. You've got to find alternatives to prone. And this is not new. The World Health Organization in 2004 and the Department of Health back in 2006 do not advocate the dorsogluteal site for routine use because of poor absorption of vaccines and the risk of sciatic nerve injury. And I've been told from a very well-qualified source that the sciatic nerve injury can be irreversible once it's been done. If it's done, it may not ever go away. And it says here, anterolateral thigh and deltoid are recommended sites for vaccines in infants and children. So if this is the case, if the World Health Organization, the Department of Health, and the Mental Health Act Code of Practice is saying don't use prone, find alternative sites, why are we still doing it? And the reason's quite simply because it's become custom and practice. It's basically a ritualized practice. And as I've said before, someone else far more qualified than me is actually going to go and talk about this. But it's not just these pieces of legislation as well. Now, this is the new Mental Health Unit's Use of Force Act 2018. So this has just come into force. And if you look at this, and we're waiting for guidance now from the Secretary of State, if you look at this, it says training in appropriate use of force. And if you look at item 2, 5 brackets 2, it says the training provided under section 1 must include training on the following topics: how to involve patient in the planning, showing respect for patients' past and present wishes and feelings. So let's just take that one, item B there. What if a patient has suffered sexual abuse and they have trauma? We're going to put them face down on the floor, pull their clothing down, inject them in the butter. It's not a good idea. Showing respect for diversity generally, avoiding unlawful discrimination, harassment and victimisation. Now, that's an interesting one for me because if we have a planned approach that is take them to prone, pull them down, inject them, so that's become a generalised practice, okay, that's a routine practice, then potentially we discriminate against people who would prefer not to have that done. It says here the use of techniques for avoiding or reducing the use of force, the risks associated with the use of force. Now, you just heard me tell you that if we take someone to the floor and pull their trousers down and inject them, they could have permanent, sciatic nerve damage. And then the impact of trauma, whether historic or otherwise, on a patient's mental and physical health, and the impact of any use of force on a patient's mental and physical health, and the impact of any use of force on a patient's development. So we have three areas there where we're looking at their health, welfare and development. So if you come back to basic health and safety and you look at the risks of taking someone down to the floor in prone, pulling their trousers down, injecting them in the upper right quadrant of their buttock, and all of the risks that go with that, if there's an alternative, safer option that reduces all those risks, it must be actually explored. And that's the good thing, because we do have an alternative option. Now, I've been working with Pal Keshtamal from UK Pods, and I've been nagging at him and nagging at him and nagging at him to do this. And he's finally actually put up an online course. And it is called Alternative Injection Sites for IM Medication. And here it is here, and I'm doing the introduction to the course. Now, it's basically a 6-module course, 6 small videos, roughly probably like 20 minutes max on this one here. But he's gone through all the research, all the evidential research on this, and he has got alternative injection sites there. So here's the thing for you. If this was available to you, which it may be shortly, or it will be shortly, would this be worth the cost of doing it, considering the cost of not doing it, knowing it's available? So we put someone on the floor, pull their trousers down, inject them in prone, end up being sued, or God forbid end up someone dying, and there is a less intrusive option that's available at a ridiculously low cost that obviously, if you take the reasonably practical account, you can get this for this, the cost of someone being severely traumatized or dying is this. You don't have an excuse. So all I want to know at the moment is, if you're interested in this, let me know, and we're going to launch it shortly. But any comments you've got, any feedback you've got, please stick them in the boxes below. If you like what I'm talking about, then like this. If you think other people can benefit from this, it would add value to them, then please share it far and wide. But I think what he's put together here is absolutely exceptional. The first time I saw this, it absolutely blew me away. And now we embrace this and we incorporate this. So when people say, oh no, you have to teach prone because we need to inject, we now have a really, really good answer for them. And we blow away any reasons they have which are not cogent for just taking people down into this old school basis process of take them to prone, pull their trousers down, inject them in the backside. Okay, thanks ever so much. If you like what you hear, like it. If you've got any comments, leave a comment. And if you wouldn't mind, share it far and wide. Speak to you all soon. Thank you.